feeling like I'm in that end zone. I got my homies in a no new friend zone. You know, making plays that land us in the end zone. Coming in clutch, you can catch me in the end zone. End zone.
What is happening, people, and welcome to a very special bonus episode of In the End Zone UK. Why bonus, you ask? Because the NFL trade deadline hit this week and it hit like a brick wall. We had to get on the mics, there were deals flying, players being shopped, teams in utter fire sale, and the window is now closed. I'm joined today by the two In the End Zone crew, the Titans super fan, Big Dave. Nearly called you Superman, Big Dave. How are you doing today, Titans Superman super fan?
Good. I thought you was going to say Titans Super Bowl, and I was going to correct you and say that that's not happening.
I'm not that deluded.
I'll take Superman.
Yeah.
Got all the characteristics of Superman apart from being super.
Except for the Jerry curl hair as well. It's not something you've got anymore.
No, and I don't wear glasses.
And that.
And I've got a beard.
So actually,
basically,
not a lot.
I'm just a useless man.
Good. Speaking of useless men, Cheesehead himself, Camo, what's going on?
What?
I don't know, just called you useless for no reason.
Ouch. Okay. Well, welcome back to the poddy. Yeah, but I am all good. I am ready to dive into trades rather than useless football.
Absolutely. We did miss you last week, Camo, or this week, whatever we want to call it. There was a lot of football talk for week 9, but that is not what we're here to do today. Today is trades. The trade window ended on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There was not a lot happening leading into that trade window. Then all of a sudden, last minute deals were done. Players were shopped, sent to different teams. So let's get locked in. This episode is called Trade Talk, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So our first segment, I am calling Top Trades, and I want to go around the table and I want each of our single top trade from this trade window. Which one impressed you the most? Which one do you think is going to shake the league? Which one made you go, okay, that could be a big change for this team? So let's get into that. It's top trades, and I'm going to start, Dave, with you. I want to know, what was your favourite trade of this trade window?
The Sauce Gardner one is my favourite, I think.
For who? For the Jets or for the Colts?
I think for both. I think both of them have kind of won this trade. You know, I mean, granted, you don't know what the Jets are going to do with those picks. Essentially, it gives them the option to go and get a quarterback in either this year's or next year's draft. You know, they kind of gives them the freedom of movement to move either up or down, left or right, with all the picks they've got. And for the Colts, I mean, the Colts secondary was already good, but I think adding Sauce Gardner just makes it really, really good. You know, their defense is unbelievable. They already had, Nick Cross and Cam Bynum at safeties and Kenny Moore as a nickel. But adding Sauce Gardner to their cornerbacks, I guess. That what's his name, Mekhi Blackman.
Yeah,
he's a good corner already. So it really does shore up their secondary, and it's going to allow their sort of linebackers and defensive players to really get after the quarterbacks. So I'm ultimately thinking that that's probably going to work out as the best trade.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, let's not get it twisted. I know that a lot of the time on this podcast, and certainly sort of like in more personal conversations, we kind of slate Sauce Gardner. We don't say that he's as good as maybe he is led to believe. I actually still think he is overrated, but at the same time, you have to acknowledge that he might be overrated for the amount of praise he gets, but he still improves that Colts defensive back unit by, a considerable amount. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, he's far better than anything that they currently have. But I guess for me, it was a case of 2 first-round picks. So the actual trade for Sauce was a 2026 first-round pick. So that's this year coming. A 2027 first-round pick, so the year after. And a wide receiver who I think was also once upon a time a first-round pick in Adonai Mitchell from the Colts. So the Jets get a receiver and 2 picks. And Dave, exactly what you said, like they'll be targeting a quarterback with surely at least one of the plethora of first round picks they've got. I mean, the Jets clearly get far worse this season off the back of that trade, though, right? As in, they're going to stink even more.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what they're after. You know, I think they're now in full on tank mode. You know, with the trades that they've traded, or the people that they've traded away, they've got to be in pure tank mode, and it is going to be an absolute tank off for that number one pick. My only hope is that the Titans can suck slightly more than the Jets do, and pip them to it. So they may have to potentially use one of those picks to move up to get their quarterback.
Yeah,
because the Saints are obviously going to be looking for their quarterback. There's a number of teams that are going to want a quarterback, and with only probably two that'll probably go 1 and 2 it coming into the draft, two quarterbacks from college that are going to be in high demand. I think it'll put a premium on them, sort of like top 2 positions.
Yeah, it's got to on it, because like you say, there is more than 2 teams that want that. Raiders definitely need a quarterback, especially after last night's torrid affair, which we'll talk about on the next podcast. But the Raiders really do suck, especially at quarterback. So yeah, interesting. Camo, what did you make of this trade, this Sauce Gardner to the Jets? Are you a fan of Sauce? I know me and Dave have said we think he's overrated and he gets flagged a lot, but he does make them better.
He's a premier name. That's what I'll say. I again think he is overrated, but people around the league obviously rate him and think very highly of him. So what I like is the Jets moving on from their sort of elite players, shall we say, now that they've got in the building now, to concentrate on full-on rebuild. And as you say, they've got the capital to do pretty much whatever they want over the next 2 drafts. So I really like that from the Jets' perspective. What I like about the Colts is, like I say, I don't rate the player, but a lot of people do. And what this shows is their intent of building on what they've done so far this season and sort of doubling down their efforts to improve. So I would never have thought at the start of the season that the Colts were obviously what they are right now. And then for them to sort of go, cool, we're having a great start. Let's make an aggressive move to bring in a top talent into a secondary. Yeah, I think it's just an aggressive move, but I really like it for both teams.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think that you're right in the fact that the Colts have, I mean, it's far past the Colts looking into a great start of the season. They're clearly a great team, but I think what this does is it bolsters their chances of winning a few more games. You know, if they have a bit of a slump, which I guess they did last week against the Steelers, it gives them that extra oomph to pick it back up, continue the positive trajectory that they're on. Less pressure, I guess, less pressure on Danny Dimes. If the defense can do more, then they put themselves in the best place to win a game, just in case.
Big names like that also attract other people in, say, free agency.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it to look at too, which if it helps them bring other people into the building, it's worth it.
For sure.
Do you think the Colts, slightly off topic, but kind of on topic, do you think the Colts could be like how the Rams were, where they eventually trade Daniel Jones? Say they have a decent-ish run, but they trade Daniel Jones for maybe I don't know a name at the minute, but like a premium quarterback, like the Matt Stafford to the Rams, where they've got the team, everything's in place, but maybe the quarterback isn't quite the guy, that they go absolutely ballistic and just trade everything picks wise to get and Daniel Jones and try and get a Matt Stafford-esque player to come in.
Who is that player, right? A Super Bowl winning quarterback. Yeah. I guess it would not be out of the realms of possibility in the fact that the Colts have clearly built what is seemingly a really now solid roster, isn't it? Great offensive line, strong defensive line, good tight end, solid receivers, clearly now great secondary. So they're almost only missing a quarterback. And we say that in the fact that Danny Dimes has played some damn good football this year, but might not be the guy that can actually help them lift the Lombardi. So yeah, to that point, Dave, I mean, the Rams thing is a good example. To Cam's point, I'm thinking what does that quarterback look like? Who is that type of player right now?
Is that quarterback still Matthew Stafford?
yeah, could be, but I mean, Stafford makes anybody better, almost any team better, I think, unless you're Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, or Lamar Jackson. But yeah, it's definitely. I think what we'd have to watch is how far can they go this season, because now the Colts team is about as good as it possibly could be with the players available. I still think they're missing a bona fide one receiver.
Yeah,
I know they've got good receivers, but I still think they're missing that like top tier number one receiver. But I also think that Danny Dimes doesn't necessarily find that top number one receiver. They're not winning games because of that. So it's a really good question to ask, Dave. And I think that we're going to find out what the Colts actually are in the back end of this league. I think it's the first half of the season is whatever we make of it. There's been some surprises. Back end of the season is going to be, what are they made of? Can they make a deep playoff run? What are they missing? Danny Dimes could go all the way. Could go to the Super Bowl. Could win it.
I agree.
He could.
I hope he does.
Cool. Okay, nice. That's Colts and Jets. And I guess just to summarize those two teams, Colts are on the trajectory of potentially being in a Super Bowl right now. Jets, they are going to really suck, and we've got a couple more trades to talk about as we move on. But they are in that mode of, they're not tanking on purpose, so to speak, but they will be because of the players that they're now missing. They've stockpiled picks, and the Jets needed this. I think one podcast ago or two podcasts ago, we said the Jets are an awful poverty franchise. They need to reset, start again. You can't keep putting the Justin Fields, the Aaron Rodgers bandages over things. Just take that fresh start. And that's seemingly exactly what they're doing. So clearly they've been listening to the podcast. Clearly they're listening to us. We appreciate them. Cool. Moving over to you, Camo. I want your top trade.
This one, I don't think it was a huge splash, certainly not as much as the Sauce Gardner one, but I really like the Jalen Phillips to the Eagles trade for
pass rusher from the Dolphins.
Yeah, because the Eagles just know how to build a team, and all they've done is they've added in another guy that certainly knows how to produce, and they've done it at reasonably quite a cheap cost. So, like I said, this isn't the hugest of splashes, but what the Eagles do with people in their building and how they build a team, this just feels like it's going to work. I mean, I think he was certainly one of the top guys on the Dolphins defense, and to get him for a third round pick and to only have to pay him 1.5 mil for the rest of this season, the Eagles have every chance of getting back to that Super Bowl this year. And
Absolutely.
It's just, they've also gone and added in Jair, which I don't think's really going to do anything. But if they get them two players playing, they are bona fide people in their positions that will just make that already scary defense even better. And I say they're not relying on young talent there. These are proven players. And I just commend and sort of really respect the way the Eagles go. We're going to build a team and we know exactly how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, Howie Roseman is a hell of a GM for the Eagles. And the two players you just mentioned there, Jaden Phillips coming across from the Dolphins for a third round pick. Jaden Phillips was a first rounder only a few years ago to the Dolphins. And I think he's probably underperformed because the Dolphins defense at times has not been relevant. Like, they've relied on their offense to put points up, and they've not really built that defense to a solid level. But I think, as you said, Cam, Jalen Phillips in the hands of the Eagles as a potential rotational, situational pass rusher. He clearly not too long ago had first round talent, which is why he was drafted. They get him for a third rounder. It is a little bit of a steal, I guess. On the production that he's put out for the Dolphins, you probably say that's fair enough. But I can see him really kicking up a gear in the Eagles defense. And Jair Alexander, again, 2 seasons ago, we're talking he was the top paid corner in the league. Again, another early first round pick. And they got him for a 6th. And he's bounced around a bit, went to the Ravens and then now to the Eagles. But essentially, the Eagles are stockpiling what is legacy talent to try and hope to get something out of them. And I actually think that they will. I actually think that the Eagles will get more out of Jair than the Ravens did, and I'd imagine the Eagles will get a lot out of Jalen Phillips because that's what they do, and they're on that road to another Super Bowl, and maybe they just need some experience because they have been relying on some young players this season. So yeah, Eagles, Dave. Do you think these two picks they make sense?
Yeah, massively. And I mean, they picked Michael Carter up as well, didn't they, from the Jets? So they grabbed another corner as well. I think with Jalen Phillips, when he's on the Dolphins, he's probably the one that's seen all the double teams because he's the best weapon on their offensive or defensive line.
Yeah.
When he goes to the Eagles, it's not going to be like that, is it? He's either going to come in as a rotational guy and get some fat tackle that's out of breath, or he's going to be seeing one-on-one constantly because they've got so much depth on the defensive line. You know, Jalen Carter's going to be seeing double teams. And you can see, I mean, who was the dude they had last year? Sweat.
Yeah, Sweat. It's like his replacement, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah. No, I think it'd be great. And same for Jair, you know, you're right. They have got like young corners. So I think having Jair in that room is going to bring a lot of experience, and they'll probably get some decent usage out of him. Everyone who goes to the Eagles, they just seem to revive their career, don't they? So
yeah, exactly that. If you want like proof in the pudding, you just have to look at any player that's gone there in the last few years. Maybe aside from what's his name from the Giants who didn't do too well. Was it Bradbury? Right. Yeah, aside from Saquon. But yeah, good, nice. Enjoyed that one, Cam. And sexy pick that obviously for the Super Bowl winners. They're looking to get back there. I'll give mine. And mine, I think mine's maybe a little bit from left field, but I think it's a player that's going to make maybe most impact because of like the lack of talent they've had there. So I'm going Logan Wilson from the Bengals, linebacker, going to Dallas Cowboys. They got him for a 7th rounder, and I think that's why I'm picking this as my like top pick, because they basically gave up nothing to get him. I mean, if you got Logan Wilson in the 2nd round of this upcoming draft, you would go from 6 to midnight. You would be a happy chappy, so to speak, because Logan Wilson, I think, is a very, very good linebacker. He's not, you know, I think we've all said it. I think when we saw that he was available, there was some messages bopping around between us three, and we said, look, any of us would take him on our teams because he's that proven commodity. He's been in the league, I think 5-6 years now. I think he's been in the league, and he's just been that kind of, until this season, he's been that consistent presence for Cincinnati. He's had, in his 2nd year, he had 100 tackles, and he's had plus 100 every year since, 123, 135, 104. He's had 7 forced fumbles, 11 interceptions as a linebacker, nearly 6 sacks as well. So I think going to the Cowboys, where their defense is clearly awful, you know, it's been a sieve this year. It's been passed on, it's been ran on. At least he put some consistency in there. I think he does both. He can stop the run and he can also get into pass coverage, clearly, with 11 picks in his career. So I think that sort of helps them mold that middle of the pitch. Their deep threats are still going to be an issue, but it covers that middle of the pitch for them. So I would say Logan Wilson's probably my favourite pick. Again, 1, because of the calibre of player, 2, because of the cost. 7th round, you give anything for, I can't believe. We've said this before, haven't we? And I think this should be a thing. There should be an app for GMs out there where you put your player in and then you put in the pick that you're currently going to raffle him off for. And if somebody wants to come in and step up, who wouldn't give a 6th round pick rather than a 7th for Logan Wilson? Let's be honest. Like, I can't think. Why would you not?
Yeah, unless he's got something that's like really wrong with him.
Yeah,
that we don't know about, because I know obviously the Bengals benched him, but their defense has been awful. You think our defense wasn't this bad last year. Maybe let's play the guy that we've paid a bit of money to, who's actually a good linebacker. I like him because he can rush the passer as well. I mean, we definitely said that. I'd have had him. I'd have given a 5th rounder for him to come to the Titans.
Exactly.
Well, probably not this season because I'm happy with my linebackers, but last season definitely.
But even for, like, I don't know how much he's being paid. That's the only thing I didn't look at. But even for depth, you know, like if you're picking up a player, if you've got 2 good linebackers, like you say, if you're happy with your linebackers, Tennessee, Camo. Camo, your linebackers at the Packers are amazing. If you're happy with your linebackers, great. But to have a depth player of his caliber for a 6th round pick, I mean, our linebackers, 1 is injured, and 2, we haven't got great middle linebackers at Seattle. I'd have given, legitimately right now, I'd have probably given a fourth or a 5th for him, just because I think he'd have shored up the defense. But I mean, honest question: would you have given up a 5th round pick to take him at the Packers, Cam, or would you not been asked?
Obviously, we've given up quite a bit of draft capital in the upcoming drafts, so I would have to sort of look into it a bit more. But if you're saying for like a 6th, yeah, 100%, you would take it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be going into the realms of 4th, 3rd.
No. Understood. I just think it's wild that he's gone for so little, but he's a good player. He makes Dallas much, much better. So
he got a 4-year, £36 million extension.
That's not huge.
It's not a lot.
No, his cap hit this year is 3 million. Not even 3 million. It is strange. I mean, maybe there's something going on behind the scenes, but like I say, I would have taken him. I like him. Bengals fans might have a different opinion on it, but
the Bengals
29.
The Bengals defense that is shocking has got worse, which is hard to imagine.
That's true. Yeah, they can't even roll him in for a bit of depth or whatever if they're feeling tired or just not able to perform or gosh forbid get any more injuries. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. I feel like it's such a head scratcher for the Bengals. What are you getting from a 7th round pick next year for him? They must have totally wanted rid, which is wild to think. But as you said, Dave, there might be something that comes out a little bit later. Maybe his feet have fallen off. Okay, cool. So there are top picks, but by golly, were there more? And they came thick and fast towards the deadline, I guess, of this trade window. I'm going to throw some names out there to you guys now. We're going to move into the second segment, I guess. Those were our top trades. Now let's get into the rest of the business, because some teams went shopping and there's a bunch of trades that came in late into that trade window. So I'm going to throw some names out. I'll call it out. Give me what you think about this trade and whether you think it's good or bad for the traded teams or the trading teams. I don't know what that even means. So for both teams that were involved in the trade, let's go with a fairly big one, I guess, for, again, the Dallas Cowboys. Clearly the Cowboys having problems on defense this season after giving up Micah Parsons to your Green Bay Packers, Cam. They go out, and I personally thought this was the biggest. I thought this was the biggest trade of the draft. I think Sauce is probably going to get the most amount of airtime, but I personally think that this is the biggest trade of the draft because I think this guy's better than Sauce Gardner, an overall better football player. Quinnen Williams from the Jets. He is a savage. We spoke about it on our division dives. I think he was a couple of our favourite player on that team. Not hard because they don't have too many good players. They certainly don't now. But the Cowboys go out. Jerry Jones has been talking about the run-stopping element of the Cowboys being a difficult thing, being something he wants to focus on. And he goes out and gets absolutely a top 5 DT, maybe a top 3 DT in the league. They give a 2026 second round pick, a 2027 first round pick, and defensive tackle Mazzie Smith, who was previously a first round pick, just not shown that level of talent that is Quinnen Williams. Camo, just coming to you first because there is some coherence here between the original trade of Micah Parsons to the Packers. The Cowboys then go and use, I think what the stipulation is that the Jets get the best pick of the Cowboys' first round pick in 2027, which ultimately could be a Packers pick or it could be their Cowboys pick, and get Quinnen Williams. How do you feel about this, just considering that, this is sort of related-ish to the Parsons trade?
I really like this trade for both teams. I'll say it again, the Jets moving on from talent, but now have, in the 2026 draft, 2 first, 2 second round picks. In the 2027, they had 3 first round picks. They run that draft. They are in control of that draft. All they need to do is go and decide who they want and build around them. I absolutely love that for the Jets. I think, okay, this season's going to be hard. Maybe next season's will be a bit rough too. But to have that draft capital and know that you can absolutely build something would be so exciting. Obviously, it's so easy to get a draft pick wrong and actually just blow those picks.
It really is.
But they have the opportunity now with all that capital to be wherever they want to be and go get whoever they want. So I think that's really exciting for the Jets. And personally, I think it's the right decision. Having that draft capital, for me, is much better for them. Much better for the Jets than having Quinnen Williams on this Jets team.
Sure.
They are not you put Quinnen Williams on a different team, he could win you a Super Bowl with a big stop on 4th down or whatever. The Jets aren't that. They're not there. So what they've done for me absolutely makes sense. The Cowboys, they've got a premier defensive player back. They have sort of replaced the trade for Micah Parsons. And what a set of DTs they've now got. Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark in that middle is the best in the league.
It's a good pair. Kenny Clark's old, but yeah, it's a good pairing for sure. In terms of defensive tackles, I don't think there's too many that rival it. Some would say the Seahawks, but maybe not.
Yeah, I think they've given up. I think they've given up a lot. It was an expensive trade, but
not that bad. I mean,
they're trying to. Their offense has actually been really good this season.
Oh yeah.
They're trying to rebuild their defense and to get a player like that in the door.
Yeah.
With Dave, I know they had to give up picks, but it wasn't all their picks because they've got the ones from the Packers.
Yeah.
They're just going back to sort of scratch neutral.
Even. They're still profiting by one first round pick with that. So
yeah, I really do think it is a win-win all round.
Yeah, they're in the plus. Before I say my piece on it, Dave, what do you reckon to this one? Big old Quinny Williams going there.
Yeah, like Cam said, I think when you look at DTs, premium DTs, they're not available, are they? Like people like the Titans weren't giving up Jeffrey Simmons. You know, there's no way I don't think that you'd give up Byron Murphy or Leonard Williams because you need good DTs on a team. And Quinnen Williams is a 3-time Pro Bowl. He's an All-Pro. You don't really get much better than that. He's 27. He's 28 in December. You know, he's got another 4 or 5 years left in him. Yeah, it's a great pickup. I don't actually think it cost them that much. It obviously did cost them picks, but I think he's worth every penny of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Every penny.
I agree.
Especially to a team that them picks aren't exactly going to be good picks. You know, they've done the right thing by giving them the first next year and not this year, because this year is probably going to be as bad as they get. Yeah. That next year they're going to be better. The Packers are going to be better next year, or as good. So the pick isn't actually. It's going to be a late mid to late round pick. Yeah. You know, and they've given up a second this year.
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah. No, I mean, again, great for the Jets, because the Jets have got the opportunity now to look at these guys that are coming out the draft and go, actually, we don't really fancy the 2 quarterbacks or 3 quarterbacks or however many quarterbacks, or they don't really fancy them this year. Let's have a look at who's coming out next year. I know Arch Manning's coming out next year, but he's looked every bit as awful as you could possibly look. Nobody is taking away from their draft stock more than him. He's looked god awful, really bad. So, I mean, that he's obviously not coming out of the draft this year, but it kind of gives them the opportunity to look both years and see who they think is going to be the best. But or if, for example, they can't get into the top 2 picks, and the people that are in the top 2 picks are asking too much, you know, they might be like, no, we'll just keep it till next year. Pick some quality pieces up.
Exactly.
Roll with Fields for another year.
Gosh, I hope not, because that's a tough watch. But But maybe if they put more around him. But yeah, no, absolutely, guys. I think I agree. I won't spend too much time on it. I think we're done there. I think the only thing I will add is the compensation. I think is reasonable, as what you've both said, Dave. What you said, I think first and a second, when you've already obtained 2 extra firsts for Micah Parsons, means that you get Quinnen Williams and you're still +1 first. I know he's not Micah Parsons, but he's anywhere as good as for his position. So I think it's a fairly smart move by Jerry Jones, and I don't say that very often. But somehow, some way, he's kind of made a good decision somewhere. And let's see how that plays out. But him and Logan Wilson dropping into that Cowboys defense with a half of the season left might make some kind of difference. And the Cowboys need it too, because they have been just hemorrhaging points. Okay, cool. Next pick, next trade, say, not pick. Let's go, Dave, let's go to you. And let's talk about my Seattle Seahawks. So Seattle Seahawks were reported to be being aggressive in this trade window. That's what I heard. I heard all sorts of things about us linked with Trey Hendrickson, potentially linked with Jalen Waddle. So it looked like we were looking for a premier pass rush or a premier wide receiver. Wide receiver made me sort of step back a little bit because I thought we wouldn't be looking at that, considering obviously I'm just on paper looking at JSN's ascension this year. But Seattle went out, dealt some picks to the Saints, and they came away with wide receiver Rashid Shaheed for a 4th and a 5th from this year's draft. And that reunites Shaheed with Clint Kubiak, who's our offensive coordinator, and Seattle gets some speed on the outside. What do you reckon to the Seahawks picking up Rashid Shaheed?
I really like him. I think he's proven that he's a good wide receiver. He's obviously a huge downfield threat because he's rapido. He's a returner. He can return kicks and punts. So it gives you a bit of versatility there. Whether they use him in that aspect or not, I don't know.
They've confirmed they are going to actually.
Well, I mean, there you go. You know, he's a danger in the return game. And I think with a capable quarterback, which he's now got for the first time in his career, he could be really dangerous. I've said to both of you that I think he steps in straight away as the number 2 receiver on the Seahawks. I don't think Cooper Kupp's done anything this year that should guarantee him that position. And like we said, Cooper Kupp and JSN although JSN's kind of broke the mold of that a little bit this year, they are very sort of similar receivers, I think, similar sized.
Yeah, they are.
Good route runners, whereas I think Shaheed's not necessarily that polished route runner. I think he's that. And we're going to open the defense up, make sure them safeties are staying back. You have to play 2 eye safeties when you're playing us, because if you drop it, then you're going to get burnt over the top. That should hopefully open up your run game, because I know that's probably what's letting them down a little bit at the minute.
I've read a fair bit about the reasoning behind this pick, and a lot of it weirdly, when you pick a take the top off receiver, a lot of the Seahawks pundits are saying this was, as much as this is a passing game threat, this is to open up the run game. For exactly the reasons that you just mentioned there, Dave. You have to account for his speed, therefore you can't load the box. Therefore, it gives Charbonnet and Kenneth a little bit more room, which they absolutely need because they've been pretty bad this season so far. So, yeah. And the compensation, 4th and a 5th?
I mean, what you're going to take in the 4th and 5th round? I mean, the 4th round, you're probably hoping to get a decent receiver. You know, that's where most people are picking up, sort of 2nd and 3rd receivers. You're unlikely, unless you absolutely hit the nail on the head, get a starting wide receiver at that position. I don't think the Seahawks need a great deal, especially not on defense. What would you have liked to have seen them take with them picks?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, when you put it that way, if I was told that I was going to get a like-for-like Rashid Shaheed with a 4th round pick, and then my 5th round pick be a bust, I'd be absolutely over the moon to get a Rashid Shaheed type for a 4th. I would have probably said that. I mean, a 4th and a 5th is basically a 3rd-ish in my eyes, but it still leaves you with a 3rd to be able to do something with. So if we'd have given a 3rd round pick for Rashid Shaheed, I think I'd have been fine with that. The fact that it's 2 picks from the same year probably is the only thing that makes you go, is it worth it? But if you're getting him for a 4th, paying a 5th for tax purposes, then so be it, you know. And the main things for me are he's operated within a system that he's used to. He's already come in and said that the playbook is essentially the same as the Saints. He's just getting used to like the linguistics of it, and it gives us something that we genuinely don't have, which is a speedster deep threat. Camo, just lastly on Rashid Shaheed before we move on.
Yeah, I think it's a really good pickup. I actually prefer this pickup than the idea of you doing Jalen Waddle. I think he'd be more productive for you than what Waddle would have been.
And cost far less.
Yeah, cost far less. I just think he's a productive deep threat. And there's not too many of them. There's a lot of people that can run fast, stretch defenses. This guy actually catches balls at the other end of it and can run them in. And as Dave says, can do kick returns. And it's an important part of the game now, especially with the way kickoff rules are. Kick returns are massive. So if you've got someone that can actually start you around midfield a lot of the time, your quid's in. I think it's a really good pickup.
Nice. Okay, cool. Good to know. Next trade, Dave, let's talk about the Titans. So you shopped Draymond Jones, who previously a Broncos, previously a Seahawks, then ended up at the Titans, and actually was having a good year with the Titans so far. You know, picked up a few sacks along the way, good rotational player. He can play pretty much anywhere along the line, can play at end, DT, but he has been traded and was traded to the Ravens, who are clearly in some need of a pass rush, for a conditional fifth. That means it can become a fourth. Is that right?
Yeah. So I think there's like 3 stipulations. So they've got to make the playoffs. He's got to play a certain amount of games, and I think maybe he's got to get a couple of sacks. I think that was the condition of it. But I mean, if we can get a 4th round pick for a player that was going to go at the end of the season, or even a 5th round pick, you know, it's just additional resources for us, I guess. So as sad as I am that he's going, because he has been playing well, he's had 4.5 sacks in the last 4 games. He's ultimately not part of the long-term plan. So I think as long as you can maintain enough stuff within the defense to not get absolutely dismantled every single week, then we kept the big pieces that I'm bothered about. We kept Travondre Sweat and Justin Simmons. You know,
yeah, I mean they're a great 1-2 in the middle, aren't they? Again, if the Titans offense was moving, you would potentially class those as 2 of the best when we're talking about defensive tackle positions in the league. When you go in Cowboys, Seahawks, they would be in there for sure. If nothing else, because Simmons is so good and Sweat is on the up and coming.
Yeah, you get a bit of both with them. You get the pass rushing from Simmons and the run stop ability from Sweat, which is essentially what you want in it, and that's kind of like what you've got at the Seahawks in it with Byron Murphy, who he can do a bit of both, and then you've got Leonard Williams, who's just a dog and he can just get after the quarterback. But yeah, no, I'm happy we kept them. I'm a little bit unhappy that we traded Roger McCreary, because he's an outstanding nickel slot corner. He's unbelievable. He's not given up a touchdown in like 2 years.
Yeah, that's wild. I was surprised.
He tackles everything. Yeah, and again, we got a conditional 5th rounder with him as well, or for him from the Rams.
So Roger McCreary from the Titans to the Rams. This happened before the trade deadline, but nevertheless, it was still a trade within the trade window. Conditional 5th, which could become a 4th. So essentially, you've got within 2 players there. If the chips fall sort of where they need to fall, you've got 2 4th round picks. Roger McCreary is not one you'd have liked to see go. I get that. And then you've got one from Draymond Jones, whose contract was going to be up at the end of the season. I mean, if they end up being 2 4ths, as much as McCreary you didn't want to lose, has some good draft capital though to go into this year's draft with 2 extra 4ths, even if it's 5ths, you know. But
yeah, and like I say, I'm under no illusions about what we are as a team or a bad team. You know, we're going to be picking probably 1, 2, or 3, and that'll be dictated by the fact that we have to play the Jets. I think we have to play the Jets, and the Jets have to play the Titans and the Saints. So that's going to be a real bottom feeder off that last couple of weeks, you know. So
yeah,
I'm assuming if we're picking 1, 2, or 3, we will be trading out of that, because we need we've got a quarterback, so we don't need to worry about that. And we need to take offensive linemen, you know, and are you really going to take an offensive lineman with a top 3 pick? Probably not.
No,
So
probably not.
If we can trade out of that and again get some more trade capital either this year or next year, then I guess that's kind of all you can hope for in it.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it's good. I think overall the Titans doing what they need to do, stockpiling picks, build from the bottom up, not have massive contracts within the building apart from the ones that are like absolute cornerstones, and try and move that way. So yeah, I think the Titans again have done what they need to do. And if they get a little bit worse because of it in the short term, Draymond Jones, you know, you lose that sack here and sack there, then essentially it's an unintentional flop, I guess. What's the word? An unintentional bid for that first round pick, I guess, is what it is. I mean, you can't say that the team is actually taking a dive on purpose, but these players are going to probably make them slightly worse overall in the short term. Cam, Jacoby Myers was traded from the Raiders to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the value of that was a 4th rounder and a 6th rounder. The Jags gave up to get a, I guess, established safe pair of hands. He's got one of the fewest drop percentage this year in the NFL. The Raiders definitely missed him last night, and they managed to put up a measly 7 points against the Broncos, which is for next week. But the Raiders get worse because they've got nobody to throw to as it stands. Jags have just lost Hunter to IR. What do you reckon to Myers going there?
I understand it from the Jags' point, with Hunter going on to IR and Brian Thomas Jr.'s not had the same season that he had last year. He has dropped a few balls. So they just need options, I believe, is what they're looking for, rather than just feeding Brian Thomas because he hasn't produced like he did. So I understand this from their perspective. The Raiders, I mean, they're garbage. I actually despise the Raiders team. They need all the help they can get because I don't see any of those players or coaches being there next year. So for the next future, whoever is in charge, get them capital to try and build their team, because what they've got right now stinks.
It does. Yeah. Oh no, it absolutely does. You are not wrong. You are absolutely right. So yeah, I think, if nothing else, this was an emergency trade, I think, from the Jags.
Yeah, so it's not a huge trade. It's not an exciting one. The Jags aren't going anywhere this season, and they're just trying to do something, right?
The record says otherwise as it stands. I feel like the Jags are 1 or 2 wins away from being relevant again, but no, in terms of the eye test and watching them play, they don't look particularly good. Their defense looks nice, but no, you're right. I think or you could be right in that the Jags could very quickly fall off, or maybe if they do get some legitimate wide receiver play from Jacoby Myers, Hunter has been a bit of both, the corner, a receiver, and not been anywhere near what people thought he was going to be. If they get more production out of Myers than they were getting out of Hunter, which I actually predict they will, genuinely, this season, then they could be a little bit better. Safe pair of hands. The Jags have led the league in drops this year, and Myers is one of the safest hands in the NFL this year. So maybe that was unintentional, or maybe that was exactly what they're after. I just think it was an emergency pickup because of Hunter, and giving 2 picks for an emergency pickup is maybe a bit rich too, but I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. A couple more picks before we get to finishing to talk about one that I think will make a big difference, and clearly did in the first game. He's already played in one game, but it was a couple of days before the trade window. Kyle Duggar went from the Patriots to the Steelers, and we've been hammering on the Steelers pretty much all season, Dave, until last week when they got good again on defense. What do you reckon? I mean, Kyle Duggar's like one of those safeties that will come down into the box, hit you hard, stop the run, and I think it just allows Jalen Ramsey to actually play free safety, which is where they're playing him now. What do you reckon to Duggar going there?
I'm surprised that the Patriots traded him, to be fair. He's a good quality player. The Patriots are a team that are definitely on the up. And for what? To give up a 7th rounder with him to get a 6th rounder. I guess I don't know if it's because again they don't maybe rate him, like Vrabel's come in there and maybe they don't rate him too highly, but I always thought he was quite a solid player. and to trade him for essentially a bag of chips is a bit crazy to me. But
Might be a scheme thing. Might be a scheme
Yeah.
fit. You know, like I don't know if the Patriots play those sort of like downhill box safety sort of formations on defense. In my head, not that
mustn't
I
do.
know a lot, but I don't think they do. I think
Well, they
they're
mustn't
way
do
more
because
about
they-
coverage.
yeah, well, they got rid of Jabril Peppers, didn't they, at the start of the season? So they basically
Yeah.
got rid of two, like, who, and I don't know, Duggar and Peppers were probably two of the better Patriots last year. And it must be. I'm trying to think to when, obviously, Vrabel was at the Titans. It was more of a coverage thing, wasn't it? You know, they had Kevin
It was.
Byard. He wasn't necessarily like a downhill smasher. And Malik Hooker's kind of the same thing. It's like what we play now. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I know that they came to the Titans to trade for Tony Pollard.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, and it was vetoed by the owner. She didn't want anything to do with anything for Vrabel or anything like
Right.
that. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
think they were going to trade Pollard and for a fourth, maybe third or a
Okay.
fourth, and it was
Yeah.
vetoed by the owner.
Interesting. Yeah, not send him to Vrabel. Some animosity still in the camp, which is,
I think so.
I guess, fair enough. Cool. I mean, look, some of the other names that are on this list, I don't think it's worth digging any deeper into. Joe Baker has gone to the Bears from the Browns. I think that's a nothing pick. Trevor Penning, an offensive tackle, goes to the Chargers for a 6th-round pick from the Saints. I think Penning's been a reasonable offensive tackle. Chargers desperately need help if they want to be relevant and keep Justin Herbert from having to be a version of Superman every week, and so that they get that. But I think aside from that, we've covered most of those picks that came on trade night, with a few that came in just before then. Obviously, your Joe Flacco's of the world and your Tank Bigsby going to the Eagles happened a little bit earlier in the season. I guess just to finish off before we go on this bonus podcast trade talk, I guess we talk about some of the players that didn't get moved or some teams that didn't make any major moves that maybe you thought you would. Is there anybody, and this is a bit of a Johnny on the spot, but is there anybody who you thought might have gone anywhere? And we can just go sort of hands up for fastest finger first. Anybody who you thought, yeah, this person's getting traded and then didn't end up going anywhere?
Not so much person, but I'm surprised the Chiefs didn't make a move for a running back. They're rolling with Kareem Hunt at the minute, and he's obviously a shadow of his former wife kicking self.
Yeah.
Pacheco's turned into an absolute nobody, non-effective player. I
Yeah.
know they were looking at Breece Hall. I think they offered a 4th and they wanted a 3rd, or they offered a 5th when they wanted a 4th. I can't remember what the exact
No, you're
numbers
right.
were, but
The Jets wanted a 3rd for him, and the Chiefs didn't move from a 4th to a 3rd. I mean, if you're the Chiefs and you're probably going to finish sort of somewhere near the top, what's the difference? Like if I came to you and said,
none.
we'll give you Breece Hall, yeah, sweet, I'll give you a 4th, nah, 3rd, nah, too rich for my blood.
Yeah, well,
Like,
a 3rd on the
it's
Chiefs
just-
is a 4th on the Titans, isn't it?
give a 3rd-round pick. If you're going there because you want him and you know that you suck in a particular position, just give it him. Like, just
Yeah.
give the 3rd. Idiot.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got a few more problems than just running back, but they're currently not even in the playoffs, are they?
No.
And when
Yeah.
we're obviously talking about the Jags and stuff a minute ago, the Jags have got no hope of making the playoffs. They'd have to win our division, because you've got to think that the Patriots and the Bills are going to make it, and then from the AFC, you're kind of going to think that the Chiefs, the Chargers, and
Broncos.
the Broncos are going to make it. So
Yeah.
the Chiefs need all the help they can get at the minute, because they're gonna have to be in that sort of 2nd or 3rd best position, aren't they? If they want to get in.
Absolutely. That's why I'd have done it, because they're not good enough at running back. And what's a 4th or 3rd round pick next year when you've not won a Super Bowl? It's nothing. It's nothing to them.
Yeah, Mahomes, I think, is leading their team in rushing, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's
poor.
outrageous.
Really poor. Camo, you were going to say one. Anybody who comes to mind?
Yeah, no, I was surprised the Jets didn't go more all in and just clean house, but we've sort of just semi-touched on that. I did want to see AJ Brown get a trade, like away from the Eagles' offense that just isn't firing right now. But I think they'd have asked for quite a lot for him, and I don't think teams would have been willing. But yeah, that would have been quite an interesting one. But
Yeah,
no,
AJ Brown,
all in,
he's worth a first and something else, isn't he? At least probably more in the right hands. Maybe because of his age, maybe not, but he's definitely worth a first. But yeah, no, good shout. I guess one thing that I was quite shocked with, I know Jalen Phillips was traded, but I thought the Dolphins were going to sell off more assets than they did, and I feel like they should have as well. Just like I don't know,
there's a lot of Devon A-Chain.
Yeah, I thought A-Chain might go. I certainly thought Waddle might go. I thought Minka Fitzpatrick might go. Bradley Chubb could have gone. I don't mean get rid of all of them, because then you are literally like saying we need to start again. And I guess when you've got that amount of players that are good players, and I mean they are good players, I guess you can build off that, and maybe that's what they're thinking. And we've got enough team to build from, so we just need a new coach and maybe a new quarterback. But I don't know. I thought there was an availability for those types of players within the league, and equally I think that the big name that just never went anywhere and seems to just be like in a hole now is that Trey Hendrickson move. You know, like not happy, not healthy at the Bengals.
Too expensive.
Yes, they want too much for him, and that's the Bengals' fault. But I'd have thought at this point, when they're getting blown out every week, they are clearly not in the most amicable terms with him. And they said they wanted a first round pick. Apparently the Seahawks went in and said, we'll give you a second, apparently. And I don't know where that comes from. And the Bengals stuck firmly at a first. But I mean, Dave, is Hendrickson worth a first to start with? He's 30, just about to turn 31. Is he worth a first?
Not to a desperate team. Or I guess to a desperate team, he is worth a first. But if the Bengals are desperate because they know they're not going to pay him and he's going to basically walk out the door, I don't know. I'd have took a second, I think, especially if he wants gone. Did you see that meme that someone put out there saying that the Bengals offense should join forces with the Browns defense and create a super team?
That would be a super team, to be fair.
Yeah. That
would be outrageous. Bengals offense, Browns defense. Ouchies. Yeah, they should just do that. Fold a franchise and just have a. Where are they from? Ohio.
Yeah.
An Ohio team. Yeah, but I just thought he might move. To be honest, I just thought he might move. I thought some teams that are really down the bottom. Was there any chance that you thought Crosby was going to move? Either of you guys? I know that I heard it. No,
I don't think they'll ever move him. I don't think. Well, for one, I don't think he cares about winning or. That's probably wrong. He probably wants to win more than anything, but I think he said openly so many times he's not interested in going anywhere else other than being a Raider. So you've got to kind of like fair play to him. He's just so young. Why does he look older? And I feel like he's been in the league for 20 years and he's like 27.
Yeah. He's still got a lot of good football ahead of him.
I don't even know what you'd need to trade for him.
2 firsts and a bit, something maybe, for him being that young. And his contract's not that bad now when you look at like Parsons and Garrett and stuff. He's getting paid like 15-16 million less than Micah Parsons a year. Have you
seen the Baker Mayfield one? They predicted for him.
No.
4 years, 70 million a year.
Guacamole. I mean,
you wait till like Mahomes and Josh Allen's need renewing. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's going to be nuts, isn't it? That is going to be nuts. Cool. There you have it. Our emergency trade deadline podcast episode. Deals have been done. Fan bases have been bolstered or shaken. And a lot of teams look very different to they did sort of 72 hours ago. So massive thanks for jumping on short notice, guys. Obviously, we love football because of these things. It's not just about the football. It's the off season. It's the trades. It's everything that makes it unpredictable and dynamic and brilliant. So thanks for listening, everybody. Make sure you hit us up at In the End Zone UK. Let us know what your favourite trade was or what you didn't like or whether you agree with us. And until next time, we'll be coming to you with Week 10's recap next Monday. Football is life. This has been Trade Talk, and we're out. See you guys.
Peace.
Catch me balling like I'm in the end zone. I got my homies in the no new friend zone. You know, making plays that land us in the end zone. Coming in clutch, you can catch me in the end zone.